Hey guys, good morning, everybody. Today is Thursday, February 23rd. It is 6:24 right now. Market's going to open in about 6 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and set up this room real quick, and then we will get started shortly. There's a couple things here to update, and we should be good to go. All right, a couple more things here. Looks good. All right, so let me get this link sent out to you guys. Here in the premium, and we should be good to go. All right, solid. So I'll get a few moments for people to make their way in. And we can start shortly. All right, looks good. Post this page over here. All right, so good morning, everybody. Today's Thursday, February 23rd. It is 6:26 right now. Market's going to open in about 4 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a few more moments for people to make their way in, and then we will get started with our analysis for today. So there's a couple of things here to update, and we should be good to go. All right, so price is pushing up right now. There's news this morning, so obviously I don't want to hold off on taking any trades because you don't know if price is going to continue the correction or if it's going to come back down. So yeah, probably want to sit tight and just wait for market to stabilize until it chooses its direction, and then from there we'll see if we're going to be looking for buys or if we're going to be looking for sells today. So we'll see how market goes here. I mean, price is obviously bullish here on the shorter time frames. The higher time frames, I can't say the same, but we will play along and see where this ends up going. All right, let's see who's here so far. Morning, Stern. Morning, Ben Hartwig. Morning, David. Morning, Maria. Morning, Peter. Morning, iPhone. Morning, Nick. Morning, Vince. Morning, Karen. Morning, everybody. So, all right, guys, market is opening in about 3 minutes. I'm going to go to market news shortly. Morning, Barack. Morning, Gary. Morning, Shaka. All right, so looking at everything over here so far. Let's see. All right, I think everything's good to go. All right, so looking at everything over here so far, guys, on the higher time frames, you can see that the 1 hour is still bearish. 30-minute here is currently neutral, and the 10-minute over here is currently bullish because price is above the pivots, trend meter is green, pivots are angling up. So there's no clear direction yet. I mean, the higher time frames here are trying to make its way up, but I don't know if this will hold. This might just come back down, so we got to give it some time. 10, 5, and 1 minute over here on the shorter time frames. Price is obviously bullish here because price is above the pivots, trend meter is green, and the pivots are angling up. So Short term here, price is bullish. Long term here, price is pretty much neutral because the 30-minute here still hasn't confirmed anything. It's still right down the middle. Pivots are still going sideways. They're technically still going down. They're not angling up yet. So we'll see what happens in the next couple minutes or so. Market is opening in about 40 seconds. I wouldn't chase this buy here, guys, because this is just a correction from the drop earlier. I'm gonna go over here on the 1 minute mark of news. We had news over here at 5:30, I believe. Yeah, news over here at 5:30, prelim GDP, unemployment claims, etc. And then we have news at 7:30 and 8. So there was news over here at 5:30, then news at 7:30 and 8 o'clock. All right, I'll just maximize this. Mark up the news over here, clean up the charts real quick. So we had news over here at 5:30. All right, market's now open. News there. Well, let's mark up opening price right here real quick. So that's opening price. This is news price. This is upcoming. Yeah, okay. So the contracts are there's new contracts here on YM. So we don't have the times you're kind of thrown off. I'll just man, it's hard for me to measure it. Let me see it. I just do an hour from now. Okay, so I can't really measure it. But yeah, there's news coming up at 7:30. So I'll just try to like remember at 7:30 and 8, I believe. Yeah, there's news at 7:30 and then 8 o'clock. So I'll try to remember that, you know, when comes time. Or I'll just put it up. I'll just remember. Or actually, maybe I could set an alert here. Okay, never mind. I was gonna set an alert, but there's no option here for time. Anyways, whatever. We'll check it later on when it comes time. Right? I think I just click on this here. We'll just remember. Okay, so there's news at 7 o'clock. Let's put a note here. News at 7:30 and at 8 o'clock. 7:30 and 8 o'clock. Yeah. So I'll just put that there so that I can remember. We don't have a time here because the new contracts are starting to open up right here. So you can't go ahead. Time just, you know, continues to move along as price pushes along, sideways. So right now, guys, we still don't have a direction of trade of price right now. Let me just go ahead and mark up momentum scalp failure, momentum scalp variation, but there's no overall trend yet. So we have to like wait for this to confirm. I mean, technically we have a bullish trend right now, but this thing could be coming right back down. So I wouldn't really mess with it at the moment. Probably sit tight and just wait for something here to confirm. Obviously a lot could happen from now until then. All right. So price is still pushing up right here. We have a bullish bias right now, but there's no room for entry at the moment. So for now, we just gotta sit tight and wait. Hey, Alan, how's it going? Morning, Alan. Morning, Shannon. Morning, guys. All right, so price is still bouncing around here. I mean, I really don't know where price is going. Price can really go either direction at this moment. So I'm not really looking to do anything right now. Here's the clean chart. Let me go ahead and just mark up Oh, we can't even mark up the things here either. Anyways, let me just mark up 630 for market open. And then I'll mark up opening price. And we can kind of see where price is going here. I mean, as you guys can see, there's no direction at all. Price is going back and forth. We have that bullish bias, but this is opening price right here. So, I mean, price just keeps going back and forth between opening price. As you guys can see over here, if I maximize the 1 minute, you guys can see where price keeps bouncing from. Price just keeps bouncing around this blue line here, the blue line in the sessions. No direction here at all. I mean, my guess is that price will come back down and retest. If it does keep coming down, it'll probably come back and retest the news price down here. That's the next target price point that I can kind of just eyeball right now. But other than that, I don't really see much going on here. Price just keeps going back and forth between these areas. Lots of fake outs. Yeah, there's nothing going on here. I'd probably sit out for right now. There we go. Price came down and tested the news price like I mentioned, and I don't know if this will come back up and then retest opening price. There's no telling what's going to happen, next. So price breaks and closes below the news price right here. Next target price point will be the sessions, of course. So as you guys can see, price, whenever it bounces around, it pretty much just goes to the next horizontal line. So I have all these lines drawn out here. These lines are red flags, but they're considered like target price points. So they're not areas I would trade at, but if price ends up pushing that direction, like there's momentum going that direction, then odds are it's going to keep pushing in that direction, right? So that's just one thing to look out for. So like, for example, price doesn't close below here, I probably expect price to come back to this area. So these horizontal lines act as like magnets, basically. So here price is bouncing off. Where do I think price will go? It'll probably come up and test this area, but there's no bias right now. So it's hard for us to really tell where price is actually going to go. I mean, short term right here, it's still bullish, but you can see prices coming back down, retesting the pivots right there. Like price can easily just bounce off these pivots and then probably go back up to like opening price or something. But this has like 3 minutes left on it, so it's not even closed yet. And here you can see price isn't really choosing a direction. It's really just going back and forth. Higher time frames over here. The 1 hour is still bearish. So this is a thing to be careful for, guys. Like just because the shorter time frames are starting to swing up doesn't mean it's going to hold, right? This here on the 1 hour has 22 minutes left on it. If this here closes with a rejection off the green pivot right there, odds of this continuing down are very likely. So just keep it in mind. But there's two conflicting views here. So the 1 hour here is rejecting off the top, 30-minute is rejecting off the bottom. Like a lot of uncertainty there. Like, is this going to continue pushing up or is this going to, swing its way down? They both have about like 22 minutes left on it. So there's no guarantee what's going to happen next. I'd probably wait for this here to close the 1 hour. So probably around 7 o'clock, we'll have a better idea as to where price is going. Because if this here doesn't close with a rejection and it closes above, then it might just keep pushing up higher. Because this rejection here will take over. This will be the leading time frame for the push in direction. AJ, how's it going? Morning. Morning, AR. Let's see, Atapam said, why does the time skip like that? You mentioned something about new contracts. Well, time didn't really skip. It's just you can't look ahead because nothing really skipped here. If you look over here, like right now, this is a specific time. There's like nothing over here on this end. Let's see, Maddie said his looks fine. You can look ahead, Maddie, on yours, on YM. Let me refresh it. Maybe I just had to refresh over here. I know there's new contracts today though, because I can see down here. Contract switch. Yeah, so you might be on a different symbol, Maddie, because you can't go ahead over here unless you clicked on this. because you probably changed the contract from YM to YM 2023. It's basically the new contract. The contract switched like every quarter. So, I mean, you're not necessarily missing anything. It just, you can't like look ahead. But I mean, it wouldn't matter because you can still look ahead by like, drawing on here. But it wouldn't make a difference because you can't do anything ahead of time anyways. Like candles haven't gone to that point. But nothing necessarily skipped. It's just you can't look ahead. Like it's just going to be at current time until the new contract switches. I think if you click on this here. So if you click on that there, you can see that you can see ahead here. This is the new contract that's going to start. So basically the March contract is going to start in the next couple of days, but it's pretty much the same thing. If you just want to stay on the real YM or the regular YM, you can just put YM because this one's a continuous. It doesn't actually, no, it's fine now. That was weird. I guess we were on the old YM. Let me just put it back on. Yeah, because the contract switches for like every 3 months, I believe. Yeah, so March until June. Let me just click on this and just go back to YM. Yeah, so it looks like the contract actually switched already. It's just I didn't update my charts. Yeah, it looks fine to me actually. Because I was playing around with this yesterday, so it actually worked out for me yesterday, but I just updated now, so it's fine. All right, let me just mark up news then. Now that I have this up here, so we have news coming up here at 7:30. Yeah, Pam said, okay, do we need to switch? I mean, you don't have to switch. If you really want to look ahead and you want to be able to mark up like news price over here, you could refresh it. But I mean, if you're not doing that, then it's not really necessary. But if you want to, you can. All right, guys, so price is starting to come back down right here. As you guys can see, this is kind of what I was referring to earlier. So you kind of want to wait for this 1 hour candle to close. So I probably would hold off for a bit because there's no direction here. I could see this as a fake out, as you know, basically luring people into to take buys here, but I think, you know, price might be coming on its way back down. As you guys can see over here, price is starting to make its way back down. The 10-minute is coming back down as well. Here comes the 5 and the 1. Yeah, so not necessarily a clean drop yet, but it's starting to come down right here. So there's, I mean, it's right at news price, so obviously an area of manipulation, but it does look like price is attempting to make its way down lower. So this is why it's patient to wait for the market to really stabilize, because we had news this morning. So if you maximize this chart here, you can see this was a news candle from 5:30. The unemployment claims came out. It dropped price and then it corrected up, making people think that price was going to, you know, correct back up higher. But realistically, the news wasn't good. Let me check the news real quick. Well, I mean, it wasn't great, but it wasn't. I mean, like overall, it's not great. The news here was positive because it was less than anticipated. So, like last month, it was at 195K. This month, they were forecasting it to be at 200K because they expected people to be falling for unemployment more as we get closer into the year, but there's actually less, but it's not that much less. It's less by like 8,000. So I wouldn't say it's like a huge determining factor here as to like correcting price up. I think we're still going to a recession, so this is still going to be, it's still not a good thing. Unemployment claims should be at 0, right? That's like good for the economy. But since unemployment claims are still high, they're lower than normal, what they expected. That's why price kind of pushed up earlier. I don't trade news. You know, you guys already know that by now. News is a gamble. Like you can't really forecast news. You can expect news to be negative, but it's still going to do what it needs to to go in line with, you know, whatever the market makers and institutions want price to go. So if they want price to go up, they'll push price up. If they want price to go down, doesn't matter what news is, whether it's positive or negative, it's still going to go in their direction. So news over here at 7:30, 8 o'clock. There's no other news for today. That's pretty much it. Looking at price right now, price is still bouncing around back and forth. It's pretty much rejecting off these sessions over here, or sorry, not the sessions, news price. I do think price will come back down though. I think overall price is still bearish and it needs to continue being bearish. But I mean, it's just a matter of time until it becomes a smooth move. So here we go, as price corrects back down. Looking over here on the 10, 5, and 1, price will, so on the 10 over here, price is neutral. Price is in between the pivots. Trend meter down below is red. Pivots are sideways. Same on the 5 over here. Price is in between the pivots. Pivots are sideways, and the trend meter is red. Looking over here on the 1, trend meter is still green, but price may be shifting as price continues to move lower. Here's a clean chart. As you guys can see, there's not really much going on here. Price kind of faked out to the top, then it's coming right back down, and we'll see where it goes from here. Yeah, this whole month has been kind of trash. I'm waiting for March to start up. Yeah, the whole month of February has kind of been all over the place. Not really been good conditions for us to really take many trades. So we don't have anything right now because there's no direction of overall trend. Once we have a direction of overall trend, we can start looking for entries, but right now there just is nothing for us to do and nothing for us to take at the moment. All right, so again, it's just another waiting game. We got news coming up at 7:30 though, so well, it's still a long time, so there's no movements for us to really take right now. I wouldn't take anything speculative, guys, because you guys can see there's no direction. Price just keeps going back and forth. Here's a clean chart over here. You can see price just keeps going back and forth. Target price point, per usual, is going to be opening price. You guys can see it fakes out to the top. And it comes down, fakes out from the bottom, comes right back up. So I don't recommend taking anything just yet. Main focus over here would probably be the 1 minute, or sorry, the 1 hour. You can see here the wick rejection kind of disappeared. If this is the case right here, where we don't get this rejection and price continues to push up higher, then my guess is that price is going to keep pushing up from this point. But, obviously we don't want to really predict, right? We don't want to predict. We want to go with market movement. So at the moment right now, there's no market movement confirming anything. Price pushed up here, but it can come right back down. But it does look bullish over here back on the 10 and 5. You don't want to jump the gun and just hop into a trade, but you want to actually confirm it. All right, so my main focus right now is going to be obviously the 10-minute and the 30-minute over here and the 1 hour, basically the higher time frames. Main focus there to see if price continues to push up higher or if it's going to come back down. But I mean, looking at it here, it looks like price will continue to push up. Here we got the retest of the sessions right here. All right, let's see where this goes. Price is pushing up pretty high. It's pretty much testing all the sessions above, just blasting right through them. All right, so the 30-minute candle here still has 10 minutes left on it. If this here closes with a rejection off here, as I mentioned, price is probably going to keep pushing up. The rejection already closed here on the 10, or it has about like has about 1 minute left on it. So the 10-minute has about a minute left on it. And if that's the case, I think it's going to keep pushing up higher. So I think these will just follow through. The 1 hour over here didn't close with a rejection, but it still has 11 minutes left on the candle. So it does have some time until it confirms. But yeah, looking at these here, rejection, rejection. This just broke through. This has 10 minutes left on it. This has 10 minutes left on it. This one has 41 seconds left on it. Going back to the shorter time frames over here. Yeah, exactly. John said, need it to confirm it'll stay above all these sessions before I start looking. Yeah, same here, John. So as you guys can see over here, this is what Dejan just mentioned. He's waiting for price to stay above the sessions here. And then once it does, he's going to start looking for some buys. Right. That's exactly what you guys should be doing as well, because there's still red flags up here. So you can't really take any buys because you guys can see how price gets manipulated when it gets near these areas. So whenever price gets near these horizontal lines, you guys can see how price just bounces directly off it, right? Same with over here. Price will come up, fake out, come back down, fake out down here, come back up, shoot through it, have people chase this. As you guys can see, it's like a cat and mouse game, right? You guys see a price push, you see price push up, and then people typically will just chase that push to the upside. Price will trace down super hard, they get stopped out, and then price starts continuing to push up to the top end. But the main area right here to look out for would be the sessions. We want to see it actually close above it. Where it's currently at right now, there's no confirmation it'll keep pushing up. Here, back on the higher time frames, the 30-minute still has 9 minutes left on the candle, so I wouldn't necessarily enter a trade just yet. I'd probably wait for a confirmation here. Once you get a confirmation, then possibly hop in for some speculative move if you wanted to. I don't think I'm going to take any speculative moves today, guys, because I'm just not feeling comfortable with these types of market movements. For one, the big thing that I'm mostly worried about is the sessions. For two, it doesn't seem like price is really holding up here just yet. Like, it's not necessarily holding up there strong. So the thing I'd be worried about is if I was to take a trade, if price ends up bouncing around a little too much. So it looks like we do have somewhat of a bullish bias. I'm going to wait until 7:30, or sorry, 7 o'clock. Once we hit 7 o'clock, and if this 30-minute candle closes above the pivots, then I'll be looking for possible buys here. My bias is going to shift to a buy because we currently have it on the short time frames right now. Everything here is pretty much bullish. It's hard to tell if it's going to stay or not, because you guys can see earlier right here, it faked out. Price looked like it was bullish, came down super hard, and then now it's back up. Yeah, Dejan said if it does break, it'll probably consolidate for about 15 minutes before we get some entries. Yeah, and I agree too, Dejan, which is pretty normal for February. If you guys have seen this month, a lot of our entries came up super late. Like, so the entries didn't start coming up till like 7:30, 7:40, around that time. So we'll see. Nick said rejecting off the 1 hour. It still hasn't reached the pivot yet on this one. Nick, I'm looking over here on the 1 hour right now. Price is still at the it's in between the pivots, but it's not necessarily rejecting off the pivot just yet. So if this happens here and the 1 hour doesn't actually reject off the pivot, I think the next target price point is going to be that pivot. So another reason to be careful, because price can be pushing up on these lower time frames, but this 1 hour, when price reaches this pivot up here, price might bounce off it, but hasn't rejected off it yet, so it still hasn't touched. All right, price is still pushing them higher here. It's still stuck at the session, so not necessarily best area for us to make entry just yet. Yeah, it's like right in between the sessions, so this can easily bounce around. And if you guys look over here at the volume here is super unusual, right? Because typically if you get a big push on the open right here, it usually continues in that direction. You can see our price had a big push down, and then it had a big push up right here. So there's like a lot of uncertainty. You typically don't see this where the volume's like mixed like this. If you have strong selling pressure, it usually continues to sell. But right here, you had strong selling pressure. Now you have very strong buying pressure. So this whole month has kind of been like this. It's been kind of, I feel like it's been a really difficult month to trade for a lot of people. Volatility hasn't always been super high. And then there, on top of that, there's no direction. So that's like, it's like a horrible market altogether. It's, yeah, I think FOMO is really what's going to really destroy counts that, or has been destroying counts this month. It's really FOMO and just like not being patient and disciplined for the entries, because there are entries that come up, but you just have to wait for them. You know, I could see a lot of people getting FOMO here. Like, for example, I could see a lot of people entering buys right here because they thought price is probably going to swing up. But then, you know, an opener here, I mentioned just hold off for a little bit, wait for market to stabilize. Price kind of came down from this point, and I could see a lot of people entering sells from here too. So I see people getting suckered in both directions. For a buy there, getting stopped out, and then they think price right here is going to, you know, reverse back down. And I can see people entering sells right here, and then as soon as people enter sells, it goes right back up and stops them out again. So just you know, just be patient, guys. Like, just be really disciplined. If the market doesn't look good, just don't take any entries. There's nothing wrong with not taking entries. Here's price right now in the 1 minute. It's currently above the sessions. It's closed above it, but I think price may consolidate a bit before it actually goes up higher. Price is now rejecting off the 1 hour on the time frame right here. Price is rejecting off the 1 hour. It's pushing off these here. It'd be more ideal if price closes above it. So this candle still has 4 minutes left on it. If this candle closes above the pivots, then that's a better indication that price is likely to continue pushing up. If it doesn't, and you have the rejection right here, this is going to be a bit of an issue, because this may indicate a rejection back down, because the 1 hour here is the strongest out of all the time frames we're looking at. And if it has a rejection off the strongest pivot here, odds of it coming down super heavy are very likely, right? So you can see over here, the same thing happened over here. Let me just maximize this. So same thing kind of happened over here. See, when price got the rejection off the red pivot right there, the strongest pivot, it came down super heavy. This was on February 19th. So same thing right here, rejection off the strongest pivot. This can easily dictate that price may be coming right back down. So I'd be careful with taking any entries if that's the case. This candle has about 3 minutes left on it. If it closes above, I still wouldn't necessarily like say, okay, this is for sure going to be a buy, because you can see the same thing happen here when price faked out, right? Price pushed above, closed above it, like barely, and then went sideways for a long time before coming straight down. You guys can see here, whenever you look at the red pivot, look at the rejection right here on this candle too. This candle came up, tested the red pivot, came down super hard. Tested the red pivot, came down super hard. Tested the red pivot right here. It'll probably go sideways or come down super hard again. So just be careful. You know, obviously I'll try to warn you guys as much as possible. Doesn't mean you guys will follow my warning, but I'll still warn you guys and let you guys know whether things are going to be worth taking or not. Let me turn on my alerts here. As you guys can see, price is right by the sessions. There's nothing going on here. I'm not really expecting much going on here either, until we actually have a continued direction. Got my alert set up. This is again another reminder why we don't trade at the sessions, because there's literally nothing going on here. Allison said, glad FTMO gives free retries now. Yeah, no, definitely. Shannon said, I see what you mean. Stern said it'll take its direction later. Yeah, I agree with you too, Stern. Like, I wouldn't necessarily start taking any entries in a direction or another. I mean, if you see a good entry and you have something that lines up with your strategy, then, you know, go ahead and take the entry. Don't let me scare you into not taking a trade. But for me personally, I don't see any entries here. So like, for example, the first entry that we'd have come up would be a momentum scout failure. We need a sell signal for that. And if we get a sell signal, it's going to get stuck right here in the sessions. So even if we did get an entry, it's not in an area that we would want to be trading. So We'll see where this ends up going. Here's a clean chart. As you guys can see, price is bullish, but we'll see how long this holds. You see a lot of wicks here on the top side. This can easily be establishing a resistance. Right? You already got a double top right there. Triple top, actually. So probably be careful with these entries here. Again, the main reason here, so if you guys look here, it's like as clear as possible, right? Just avoid trading around these horizontal lines. Price is still at the sessions right here. I wouldn't really take any trades until price pushes like really away from this area. So like, for example, price push up, push down, retest, and continue. Either that or the other direction, right? But I wouldn't trade right here in the middle. I'd wait for price to actually have some sort of direction. Back over here on the higher time frames, the 1 hour here did not close above it. So as you guys can see, this is where it becomes risky because this 1 hour is telling us that price may come down, while the 30-minute here is telling us that price may continue pushing up. So this is kind of what I see happening here on the 10-minute. I see price maybe retracing back down, at least enough to retest the pivots over here. So maybe not a full drop, but enough for it to come back down and retest the pivot. Same with the 30-minute over here, because price had that big candle. It's probably going to come back down and retest the pivots at some point or to some extent. So I wouldn't necessarily chase any buys right now at all. Again, right here, it's right at the sessions. So kind of just got to wait for it to push away from it. Some profits here from Larishna. Total profit of 109 for the day. Nice work, Larishna. She took some buys on the way up. We have David over here, earlier profits from today, 12.20, and then he took another trade over here, total profit of 23.60. Nice work, David. Yeah, David said slowly but surely. Vincent over here as well. Nice work, Vincent. He took the sell over here off the momentum scalp. Looks like this was earlier this morning. Took a sell right there. Total profit of 60.97. Nice work, Vincent. So as you guys can see, if you guys have a strategy that you're applying, Vincent's applying the momentum scalp over here. If you have a strategy or this looks like a pivot scalp actually, or an intraday scalp. If you guys have a strategy that you're following and it meets your criteria, you guys are welcome to take whatever trade you guys like. But for my analysis here, it doesn't look like there's any direction. So I wouldn't necessarily hop into anything unless it meets your criteria. Yeah, Eunice over here said trying to stick to the official strategy. No entries on Eunice's page. Solid. And that's better. It's better to have no entries than to have a loss, right? Here we go. As price starts to come back down. It's finally pushing away from the sessions over here. You guys can see the resistance that I drew up there. This doesn't necessarily mean it's going to keep dropping though. So just keep that in mind, guys. It's just now finally away from these sessions right there. As you guys can see over here on the 10-minute, I kind of drew this right here where I mentioned price will probably come back down and retest the pivots. That's kind of where I see price going. After testing the pivots, it might come back up, but who knows? Here's the 10-minute right here, 5-minute right here, and the 1 minute right here. All right, so here on the 5 and 10, or sorry, the 5 and 1, I probably see price coming down and retesting the pivot. So looking over here on the 5, I'm looking for price to come back down right here, maybe bounce off the pivot. Or what we can see happen here as well in the 1 minute is we can see price come back to opening price. Right, this is always going to be the magnet here. If direction hasn't been established yet, opening price is pretty much where it may push down to. So no entries here. There was a momentum scalp that maybe could have came up there, but it was right at the session. So obviously no entry there because red flags. All right. Hey, Kenny, how's it going? Kenny said news. Yeah, I think we have news coming up shortly, right? Let me check the calendar real quick. Yeah, we have the news over here at 7:30. So we still got some time till news, but there is news coming up later at 7:30. Let me check my FX book. Same with my FX book. I don't think there's anything else aside from 7:30. So in about 25 minutes, we have gas news coming up. I don't think it's a huge factor, but it, obviously it'll affect the market. All right, price is still dropping right here. All right, so 5-minute might bounce off the nope. So it didn't bounce off the pivot. It actually broke right past it. So currently right now, we still have a bullish bias, guys, with regard to the shorter time frames, but I don't know if it'll hold. I think main thing to focus on would be this 1 minute right here, because price is coming back down to the opening price. If price comes down and tests it, one of two things will happen from this point, right? Price will either bounce off it or it'll break below and continue correcting back down. But you guys can see from here, there's no direction. Market open right here at 6:30, price faked out to the top, faked out to the bottom, faked back out to the top, and now it's coming back down to opening price. Here are the higher time frames. As you guys can see, this is where this is typically where I start to have second thoughts about the direction, right? So like earlier, you guys are mentioning that, or like some of you guys are mentioning that, okay, price is gonna be bullish here. Once I saw this on the 1 hour, rejecting off my pivot, I was like, okay, this might be coming back down, because the red pivot is the strongest pivot, especially when it's tested on the 1 hour over here. It was a heavy drop back down where price came and tested. It came and tested this blue line exactly. Like it literally came to opening price and then tested it. So this is why these horizontal lines here are important, guys. I don't draw these lines on the chart for no reason. Whenever price gets near these areas, I literally skip trades because it's just too much of a risk. I've lost a lot of trades and I figured out where I start to lose trades at. I lose trades around these horizontal lines. So instead of me getting lucky from time to time, taking trades around those areas, I just skip them completely because I'd rather be right than be lucky. Like I don't want to be lucky when win a trade and then start developing bad habits. All right, so price is coming down, or it came down pretty hard right here. Here's a couple things to look out for on the 5 and the 10 actually. So the 5-minute and the 10-minute time frames have 2 minutes left on it. What I would look for here is I would look for a wick rejection off the pivot. So we already have one right here off the 10. If this 5-minute pushes up and it rejects off the pivot right here, or any pivot really, this might push up at least like, a slight bit. But if not, I mean, it might not even happen because the 10-minute here just blasted right through it. All right. So we got the wick rejection here on the 10, wick rejection here on the 5. This might just come back up and retest the opening price, possibly. So these are things to look out for. They're not necessarily entry points, but they're just things to look out for to hint where price is likely to go next, right? So we got a pretty heavy wick rejection off the 5 and 10 right here. Another wick rejection off the 1 hour, but the 1 hour is rejecting off both points, rejecting off the top and the bottom. So there's uncertainty right there with the direction of price. 30-minute has a rejection off the pivot right here. Same with the 10. So we might get a slight correction to the upside, you know, in the next couple minutes or so. Price is back at opening price right here. So maybe a slight correction. I mean, no guarantee it's going to happen, but maybe a slight correction here. I don't think this is going to correct all the way up, but I do see somewhat of a correction here because you do see the rejection off the points here off the 5 and 10, right? Wick rejection off the pivots, wick rejection off the pivots over here. So I'm expecting price to go up at least a little bit. So if, you know, if anybody's looking to take a speculative move, it'd probably be like a 100 pip move to the upside right here, because it's not really a huge push. It's just like enough for it to hit someone's TP if they're going for a quick TP there. And this is kind of like my thought process of like looking at speculative moves and stuff. So I don't think price is going to push super heavy, but you know, it's enough for price to just push by at least 100 pips to take a quick speculative move. But overall here, we don't really have a direction. So you can see over here on the 5 and 10 price, or the 10 and 30 price is pushing up. But I think the main thing right here to look out for would be the 1 hour. But there's also no direction here because you have a rejection off the bottom and you also have a rejection off the top. So a lot of uncertainty in the market as to where price is likely to go. All right, so still no entries here for us, unfortunately. And we don't even have a trend now. Overall trend was bullish earlier. Now it's kind of like back down the middle. So let's go back to square one. Let me just take everything off the chart over here so that there's no confusion. I don't want you guys to be taking random trades. If you have a strategy that you're following and then you have these like confluences here to show you where price is bouncing to, then, you know, go ahead and take a trade in that direction. But if you don't have a confluence and you're kind of just taking random trades, it's not worth it, right? Don't bother taking a trade there if you're just taking a trade to take a trade. Only take it if you have a specific strategy. But anyways, going back to the first step over here for all of our strategies, first you want to confirm the overall trend, right? For the momentum scalp failure, momentum scalp variation, and momentum scalp, first thing you're looking for is to confirm the overall trend. Looking over here on the 1 minute, you can see that there's no overall trend. Price is right down the middle in between the pivots. Pivots are kind of going sideways now. They were starting to angle up, then they angled down. Now they're going sideways. Trend meter down below is green, but this isn't going to be huge relevance. Going over here to the 5, we have the same thing. Price is right in between the pivots. So price is in between the pivots. Pivots are going sideways. Trend meter again down here, not a huge relevance. Lastly, here on the 10, price is still bullish here on the 10. As you guys can see, price is above the pivots, trend meter is green, pivots are angling up. But again, there's no strong confirmation there yet. So looking at this here, looking at this here, and looking at this here, there is possibility of price choosing a direction, but there's no overall trend yet. So without an overall trend, there's no entry for us to take. In order for us to take any of these strategies here, we need to confirm step 1, which is the overall trend. So looking at this here, we need to wait for something here to actually play out. Once it plays out, great. If not, then we just got to sit tight and wait. Looking on the higher time frames, there's still no direction here either. The 5 and so the 10-minute and 30-minute timeframes are still currently somewhat bullish. Price is still above the pivots, rejecting off the pivots right there. And same with the 30 over here. Price is above the pivots, trend meter is green, pivots are angling up. But the 1 hour over here is really the deciding factor. The problem here is that there's rejections on both sides. So there's no clear direction. You want a rejection off one side. Two sides aren't really going to help too much. So we're just going to have to wait and see where this ends up going. There's no overall trend on the higher time frames, but the shorter time frames over here are still somewhat bullish. Right, it's right at opening price. So here, let me do this real quick. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to draw the high point and the low points. So we got a resistance up there, and then we got a support down here. And we have opening price right here down the middle. As you guys can see, price hasn't really gone anywhere. This is where market opened at 630, price faked out to the top, pushed down below, pushed back up, faked out again, and it's right down the middle again. So realistically, US30 has not gone anywhere. This blue line is opening price. Price is at opening price. So I wonder if the other pairs are the same. Let me check NASDAQ real quick. So NASDAQ's actually bearish right now, or not. It's actually going sideways too. So NASDAQ is also going sideways. S&P is also going sideways as well. Yeah, there's no direction across any of the indices. Pretty much everything is kind of going sideways right now. So it doesn't really matter what you're trading. There's a lot of uncertainty on both ends. So let's go over here and check out CNBC real quick, see if there's any news. See, FTX founder Sam Bankman, SBF, hit with new criminal charges. Other than that, looks like all of the indices are currently bullish right now. So the Dow is currently up 138 points, S&P is up 25 points, NASDAQ's up 72 points, Russell 2K is up 20 points, and the VIX is currently down 3%. Some update right here. Stocks rise Thursday as S&P tries to snap 4-day losing streak. Yeah, nothing specific. Yeah, I don't really see anything here. I mean, price may be bullish, but looking back over here on the higher time frames, we gotta wait for this 1 hour here. This 1 hour here is gonna be irrelevant because it's gonna close at 8 o'clock, and that's like the end of our live session. So looking over here on the other time frame, so just ignoring the 1 hour here, the 30 minutes bullish and the 10 minutes bullish. So it looks like our bias for today may be bullish. There's no confirmation yet that that's going to be the case, but that's my guess, because we only have about like 40 minutes left on this live session. And if I'm going to bank on like where direction is going to go for the next 40 minutes, I'd rather anticipate it to be bullish rather than bearish, because looks like that might be the case here. I think the key thing here would be this 30-minute time frame. If so this 30-minute right here has 13 minutes left on it, right? If in the next 13 minutes we get a wick rejection off this bottom, then this is going to be the initiating factor from now in the next 30 minutes. So if this here rejects off the pivots in the next 12 minutes and this candle here closes above the pivots, then my guess is that price is going to continue pushing up for the next 30 minutes. That's my opinion. So hopefully we can catch at least one trade here, but I just don't see anything happening here. There's a possible entry here for a momentum scalp variation. But it's still kind of messy because the overall trend here is not very strong. But this right here would be, and again, right here, this candle here touched the session, so no entry there. But yeah, unfortunately, it looks like this would be a momentum scalp failure, momentum scalp variation, and a momentum scalp entry. But it's like touching the session, so unfortunately, it's not going to meet criteria again. It like barely touched it. So I'll follow this trade here. If you guys want to take it at your own risk, feel free. But I don't take trades at red flags, so I'm not going to be taking the trade here. I'll follow it, and you guys can, if you guys are in it, we'll see if it plays out. I think it will play out, but I'm not taking the risk there. So this here is a momentum scalp variation, and it's also a momentum scalp entry as well. Full TP right there. So if you guys took it, great. If you guys didn't, it's okay. But you guys can see here that entries are coming up. It's just red flags. So for the number of times that this could and would play out, there's gonna be a lot of other times where it wouldn't, right? So nice. So Maddie actually took it and then he pulled out early. So he took it and then he got half TP and pulled out, which is fine. If you guys don't feel comfortable about a position, feel free to pull out. But, again, as I mentioned, guys, this right here was a momentum scalp variation and a momentum scalp entry. So these two strategies right here, this one and this one. The reason why this here was a momentum scalp variation was because price pulled up above the pivots, right? So we had a sell signal over here. This was a momentum scalp failure, not one I would take because obviously it was right at the sessions. Like this was pretty clear. Price pulled back below, closed back above right here. When it closed above here, that was a momentum scalp variation. Overall trend was bullish, momentum aligned across the 5 and 10. Yeah, buy signal right there, buy signal right there. Confirm price retraces right here, corrected back up, closed. That was an entry right there for a momentum scalp variation. So if you guys took it, great. If not, it's completely fine. I didn't take it myself, so no official entries yet so far. Okay, now that we have price, well, we have no direction now. Now that price is back below here, there's no way for us to look for another entry because I was looking for another momentum scalp to come up. So this is the pattern that I wanted to play out. I wanted price to push up slightly, retrace, provide a momentum scalp failure around this area, and then, you know, continue riding it up. But unfortunately, that just doesn't meet criteria. So yeah, no entry there for us. All right, so let's see. Let's go back to the higher time frames. All right, so this candle here still has about like 10 minutes left on it. As I mentioned, if by 7:30 this here closes above, my guess is that price will continue pushing up at least a little higher. And then we also have news coming up over here at 7:30. So you guys want to be careful about taking the entries. We got news right here at 7:30. Oh, man, this market sucks. But so here's the thing. If you guys can be disciplined and if you guys are able to make profit during these types of market conditions, if the market's super smooth next month, you know, it'll be easy money for you guys to just lock in profits. I think these are good conditions for a lot of people to practice through because a lot of people don't go through this. So what happens with a lot of people when they start trading is they have really good market conditions and they have a lot of wins, but then once they start losing, they don't know how to handle the losses. So for me personally, instead of losing, I prefer to just sit out of the market because I kind of see things play out, but I don't have my emotions involved where I'm like pissed off because I'm losing trades, right? I'm kind of just, I'm frustrated, but I'm not mad. Like, and that's fine because that's trade psychology. So, you know, I read a book recently and they mentioned something. It was like from a trade psychologist. He mentioned that like, it's okay to be stress trading because that's what trading is, right? You're supposed to be stress trading, but you don't want to be stressed out to the point where it's affecting your life and affecting your day. So I'm not in any positions here, so I don't really care where price is going, but I'm still able to sit back and analyze to see where price is going to go. So yeah, exactly. Maddie said my boy, Dr. Steenbarger, yeah. Yeah, if you guys haven't, so let me show you guys the books that I'm listening to right now, or the books that I have listened to. I'll pull up my own Audible here. So this is my Audible right here. These are the books that I listen to. I listen to at least like one book every couple of weeks or one book every month. The first book that you guys should read would be Trading in the Zone. Of course, this is like number one. If you guys haven't listened to this, this is number one. It'll get your trade psychology on point. The next book would be One Good Trade. This is like a really good book as well. This kind of, it explains to you that like, you know, one good trade a day is good enough. If you can focus on just one good trade, you can be very profitable because you're not focusing on so many things, just one at a time. And this is the one that I'm listening to right now. The Daily Trading Coach, 101 Lessons for Becoming Your Own Trade Psychologist. This book right here is really good. Like once you've read the other two, this book here will help you understand how to be consistent, because I feel like with a lot of people, you guys will have a lot of ups and downs, but it's at the extremes. Like for me, I'm pretty like flat. Like right now I'm flat. I'm not having any super ups. I'm not having any downs at all because I haven't taken many trades this month. But you know, it always brings you back to earth. So you're not always like thinking that you're unstoppable because you're going to lose trades. You just got to understand that. For me personally, I'd rather not lose trades and I just sit out of the market until something really provides entry for us. So right now there's no entries for us, guys. I mean, there isn't even a trend right now. As you guys can see here in the 5, price is coming back below. And it's coming right in between the the pivots over here. So there's no overall trend at the moment. 1 minute over here is pretty neutral, or it might even be bearish at this point. But the 5 minute here is definitely neutral. And the 10 minute over here is starting to become neutral as well. Let me go back to that 30 minute. So as I mentioned earlier, guys, we have about 5 minutes left on here. If this here closes above the pivots, then great. If it doesn't, then, you know, probably going to need to sit back for a bit. So we got 5 minutes left on this candle. We'll see what happens on the 30. The shorter time frames over here, again, there's no direction. Here's the clean chart. Prices, it hasn't gone anywhere. If you guys can see, price is just going back and forth between the opening price right here. So yeah, right here, nothing going on. It's literally just going sideways. So guys, if you guys have any questions, feel free to put your questions in the chat. Otherwise, you know, we'll sit tight for a bit. We have about 5 minutes till 7:30. That's news price. And then we'll see how market reacts to that news. I don't think it's going to be super impactful, but it should affect the market at least a little bit. The numbers here are pretty big as well. So last month, it was negative 100 billion. This month, they're forecasting it to be negative 60 billion. But I mean, who knows? This could be way above that or way below that. I wouldn't trade off news, though. I would probably just wait for price to react to it and then go from there. All right, 4 minutes left. I feel like time is moving so slow right now because we're waiting for this 30-minute candle to close. 4 minutes left. I have the timer right here. But as you guys can see, rejection, right? If you have a rejection off of 30-minute and 10, my guess is that price is likely to continue pushing up, at least, you know, to some extent. So just give it some time right here and just see where it ends up going. Let's see, it's 7:26 right now. So we got 4 minutes till 7:30 news price. And then on top of that, we have, I mean, price is super messy right here on the 1 minute. You guys can see there's no direction. Price is really going sideways and then just huge wicks on both ends. Yeah, I mean, my guess is that price is going to push up. I think price will be bullish. So, because we got the nice rejection here, nice rejection here. The 1 hour here is indecisive, of course. The 1 minute's pretty much stopped moving it. In total, it just hasn't moved at all. If you look over here on the clean chart, the 1 minute hasn't done anything in the past. All right, so for the past like 20 to 30 minutes right now, the 1 minute hasn't really done much. It just keeps bouncing around opening price right here. We got news coming up in about 3 minutes. Price is super flat. Looks like a lot of people are waiting for the news to come out. So the volatility here has died down completely. There's nothing going on for the past 30 minutes or so. Seems like a lot of people are just waiting for the news to pass. You know, a lot of people are getting smart about trading. They're not necessarily gambling around news price. And that's why volume dies down right here. Volume's super dead because a lot of people are just sitting out and just waiting for the direction to be placed. Yeah, the volume right here is super slow too. If we maximize the 1 minute over here, you guys can see how volume started to die down over here, right? So volume was super high here, very bearish, very bullish, very bearish, and then now it's just getting smaller and smaller and smaller as we get closer to news price right here. And you guys can see where price keeps rejecting off. Directly off this purple line here, which is the sessions, the Asia high from yesterday. All right, we got news in 2 minutes. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put your questions in the chat. Otherwise, yeah, not really much for us to take right now. 30-minute looks like it's going to reject off the pivot though. So looking at this here, I think in the next couple of minutes, price will push up at least a little bit. Might not be a huge push, but I do think price will be bullish, or it'll just get like a spike up, like a small spike up. Let me see how far of a push I can probably anticipate. Yeah, nothing huge. Maybe at least like 20 pips or so. Yeah, Maddie said you should push it around. Yeah, I agree, Maddie. All right, we got news coming up right here, guys. So let's see what happens next. Yeah, we got crude oil inventories right here. Or it's just natural gas stocks change. It's not even a big news event. The crude oil news comes up at 8 o'clock. So I think this one right here is not really a big news event, but I mean, it'll probably still push price around. I thought it was the crude oil, but right now is just the natural gas stock change. But yeah, the rejection there is pretty much confirmed. So the rejection over here on the 10 and 30 minutes. So I'm expecting price to probably be a little bullish from now until like market, well, not market close, but till 8 o'clock at least. At least a small push. It doesn't have to be a big push, but enough for it to push up at least a little bit. It'll probably come down and retest the opening price and then probably bounce from that point there right back up. But I mean, who knows? Anyways, looking over here on the shorter time frames, there's no direction, as you guys can see. Overall trend here is obsolete. There's no overall trend. It's pretty much neutral. So this 7:30 news wasn't really a big news event. I'll mark up news price right there, just so that you guys know, but it was a smaller oil news. The bigger one's coming up at 8 o'clock. It's crude oil. All right. Yeah, Maddie said it might create a new low and then shoot up from there. Yeah, I could see that. There's like no direction, even on the higher time frames here. If you look back over here, so typically I look at both the higher time frames and the lower time frames. There's just no direction here at all. Like looking over here on the 1 hour prices, I mean, still bearish on the 1 hour. 30-minute is still, I mean, nothing either. 10-minute as well, nothing there. It's like right down the middle. So it's in between the pivots right here on the 10 and 30. And same on the 1 hour. Overall bias is still bearish, but not really something for us to use to our advantage. Yeah. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to put your questions in the chat. Otherwise, there's nothing for us to really take here. Unfortunately, there's no overall trend. I've been waiting for a trend to set up here, but we just don't have that. The 10-minute here is now neutral because price is in between the pivots. Same with the 5-minute over here, it's neutral. I was expecting price to at least push one direction or the other. Price did drop a little bit here, but I don't think this is going to hold. At least not enough for it to really make a difference. Yeah, Maddie said this whole month is a red flag. Yeah. All right. So there is, I mean, there's nothing for us right here. Still 7:30 though, so we have about 30 minutes until 8, so we still have time. The thing is, there's just no direction, so I'm hoping there's gonna be a direction from now until 8, but at the moment there's just nothing right now, so it's really just waiting for price to go somewhere. Here's a clean chart. You guys can see price just came back down and retested the low right here. So if anything, this might come back up and then retest the opening price. Possible, target area for price right now. Basically a double bottom down here off the low of the day. wouldn't necessarily say it's gonna hold too strong, but yeah, it's pushing up right there. Yep, and it went exactly to where I mentioned. So you guys can see right there, it's pushing right back up. So as you guys can see, it's just a back and forth movement. This is why it's really difficult for us to take trades here, because there's no direction as to like where price is going. It's just a consistent back and forth movement. You know, I'm curious if like the SR rejection scalp is working right now, because the thing with that strategy is that strategy is good for ranging markets. I don't know if you've been looking at it, Maddie. Yeah, accidentally deleted opening price. There we go. Yeah, Maddie said right back into the nasty range. Yes, there's not really much going on here. Thanks, Alan. Alan said Fed Bostic is having a speech at 7:50. Did that just get added on there? I didn't see it earlier. I might have missed it. Might have just gotten added. Yes, so it's right there. I see it. Thanks, Alan, for the heads up. So at 7:50, the Fed's going to start speaking. This is a time to stop trading. So like once it gets close to 7:50, there's no reason to start trade around that area. So another red flag here, because the thing, I've been listening to the Fed lately. I've been re-listening to their speeches. The problem with the market here is that the Fed isn't all on the same page. Like you'll have one Fed member saying good things about the market and price will go up, and then another Fed member which will be saying the opposite and price will come back down. So I've been listening to like other traders, not like normal traders, like institutional traders. I've been listening to a lot of interviews, and I've been listening to CNBC and a lot of I've just been listening to the Fed speakers. So this is why February has been kind of all over the place. If you look over here on let's see. I mean, this is probably not even a good time. Let me look on the daily. Okay, so as you guys can see right here, I'm going to go into markup February, or just like the whole year of January, basically. So this whole year, the Fed's been speaking like every week, right? Typically the Fed has good things or bad things to say, right? And the problem here is that they don't really have a direction. They're kind of just saying things opposite of each other. So you can see here for the entire year, there hasn't been too much direction, right? Price is just going back and forth. It's a big sideways movement from up here to down here. So it's not important and you guys don't really have to follow it. But for me personally, I like to know what's going on in the market. So you guys can see over here that price has not done anything for the entire year. You can see in January over here, we had a big push. So like earlier this year, we had a lot of trades that we took, right? Because it was easy to just take buys right here because we had a direction. And then price came straight back down right here towards the end of January. So we were able to take a bunch of buys here, make a lot of profit there, and then take a lot of trades here also for a sell. And then once we entered February, let's mark up February right here. All right, so that's January. Price was moving smoothly, smooth up, smooth down, smooth up. Now we enter February and price isn't really doing much, right? It's more of a sideways movement. It wasn't like a push down, then push up. It's more of a push down sideways and then push down right here where we made some trades last week. If you guys remembered, I made a lot of sell trades last week and I made a lot of profit, but now we are back here in this predicament where there's nothing going on. But you guys can see the difference here. In January, price went up, then it came down, then it went back up. For February, it went sideways for the entire first half of the month, and then now it started dropping. So I definitely recommend that you guys probably avoid trading after the live session today because the Fed member Bostic is speaking. I don't know if there's another Fed member speaking. Let me check the calendar real quick. I think he might be the only one, but I can't remember if Bostic is like the guy that's saying negative stuff or he's saying good stuff. But I'll try to check out my notes later. But yeah, Bostic's gonna be speaking at 7:50 in about 10 minutes. And then we have oil news over here at 8 o'clock. And that's about it. But yeah, that's really why price has been going back and forth. Because if you guys have seen, there's been Fed speakers every single week, almost a couple times a week, and they say opposite things. You'll have Bostic saying either good or bad things. And then I think the other day, let me see if we got Fed here. Yeah, we had William speaking yesterday. So I was listening to William speak yesterday. He didn't really have good things to say either. So he didn't have really good things to say. Bostic has kind of okay, good things to say. And then on Friday, we have Fed member Jefferson speaking. So all these guys are all speakers for the US Treasury. And basically, you know, they're whatever they say has like a big impact. If you guys have seen a lot of like other traders on YouTube as well, a lot of them have been gambling during Fed speeches, which I don't recommend. It's crazy because I've seen a lot of people gamble and they don't even know what they're doing. They're kind of just listening to the Fed speakers speak, but they don't even know what they're saying. And they're taking buys or sells and they're like, oh, made like 15K in like 15 minutes. But they're just gambling because they don't know what's actually going on in the market. They're kind of just listening for them to speak. So see if there's anything else here that I'm missing. Thanks, Kenny. Kenny sent me a link. It says Arizona special session, Senate at House Committee on Municipal Oversight and Election. Gotcha. Thanks, Kenny. All right, so we don't have anything really coming up here. We have the Fed speaking about 10 minutes. If there's any questions that you guys have, feel free to put them in the chat. Otherwise, I don't really see anything happening here. There's no overall trend, so there's no direction for us to trade in. We're kind of just winging it as price continues to, you know, obviously move along. All right, so looking over here on the higher time frames, I mean, on the 1 hour, we still have this bottom and top wick rejection. This is a thing that I would probably look out for. So when this candle here closes in the next 18 minutes, the 1 hour, if you get that top wick rejection and price closes below the pivots, I think price is going to continue dropping. So that's just my 2 cents right there. If you guys are looking to continue trading after the live session, I just saw your message, Maddie. See what else we got over here. All right, some other profits here. So Wesley said he caught these trades during London. No luck in New York today. Yeah, nice work, Wesley. So solid profits right there from Wesley. 515 for the day. We got Maddie over here. Total profit of 620 for the day. Nice work, Maddie, off that buy. See, Kenny said account blown. Looks like he's back to me practicing and studying the strategies and wait until good trades come up. Yeah, no, just keep practicing, Kenny. I mean, there shouldn't be any trades that were taken. So if you guys are sticking to the official strategies, there hasn't been really any trades for us to take, you know, throughout the month. So this is what I mean about you guys like being disciplined and just sticking to the game plan. Some profits here from Natasha, 191 for the day. Nice work, Natasha. Yeah, the problem with most traders is that they can't sit on their hands, right? They want to take every single trade that comes up, even if there's no trade there. So, and I try to make it as simple as possible, guys. These strategies here are not very difficult. Where's the 1 minute at? The strategies that we're applying here on the 1 minute are not very difficult. There's like no entries for us to take here. So nobody should be blowing accounts. If you guys are following directions and not taking like random dumb trades, then you should just have no profits right now. No profits. Like I think Eunice over here, did he post anything? Yeah, like Eunice over here has been super consistent. You can see like, I think 3 or 4 days in the past 2 weeks, he hasn't had any trades. He's just staying disciplined and waiting for official entries. You know, the last time he took a trade was yesterday, made profit. But, you know, these previous days, he's taking like 1 or 2 trades or like even 0 trades here. Like no trades on the 21st, just 1 trade over here, 1 trade on or a couple trades on the 20th. So you guys can see Eunice is very consistent with his trades here. For the entire month of February, Eunice hasn't had 1 losing day. So here's just his, he sends me his profits every day, right? February 1st, couple trades, couple more right there. No trades on that day. one trade on that day. Like if you guys can stay consistent and not take dumb trades, you guys can be perfectly fine. But the problem is really just getting out of your head, right? Because I feel like a lot of people get FOMO when they see other people profiting, or they just kind of do their own thing. Like they think price is coming down and then they enter a sell, but there's no strategy to it. Or they think price is going up and they take a buy, but there's no strategy to it. Whenever you guys take a trade, just make sure you have a strategy. Don't just take random trades. Let's see, Barack over here said, I didn't take it at the time. Gotcha. Yeah. So Barack over here is currently up 2,295. Nice work, Barack. He marked up this one over here. He was looking for the bounce. Bounce never happened. Didn't take it. So he just sat out of that one. Zach over here said it was a nice strong candle pushing away from his TP. Went over. Just one trade for the day. Definitely Zach. Zach locked in a total profit of 3,302. So solid work right there, Zach. Sam over here as well. So Sam took some trades last night. These are his trades from Asia session 780. That's where Sam. And then for today, he didn't take anything. So again, right here, guys, this is the consistency that you guys need. If you guys don't have anything in the market, then don't take any trades. Yeah, there just isn't much for us to take right now, or in general. Yeah, Frederick said, listening and not understanding what is being said and entering trades by the speech. No trades for me today. Cheers, guys. I am considering hanging my trading cap till mid-March. Yeah, no, and I agree with you too, Frederick. Like the market hasn't been very directional for the entire month of February. So I think the market will pick back up in March, but we don't know if that'll happen right away or if it'll happen like mid-March, like you said. So if that's the case, yeah, you can still sit in on the live sessions, but just don't take any trades, especially if the market isn't really moving the way you want it to. Nice. Yeah. Martha said didn't take any trades today. Just practicing her discipline. Yeah. And I agree with that 100%. The only time you guys should take trades is when you guys have an actual bias in the market. For today, we had no bias. Price pretty much going back and forth. It's getting close to 750, so I don't recommend anybody taking any trades. Fed member Bostic is going to be speaking shortly. And I wouldn't be surprised if he says something and price just comes right back up. Right. Let's go over here to the clean chart. So here we go with price below the support right here. Bostic is going to speak soon. So let me measure to see how far is this from the opening price. It's not very far. It's like 700 pips. So I wouldn't be surprised if Bostic starts speaking in the next 10 minutes or so and price shoots all the way back up to opening price right here. So we'll see. Let me see if there's any other questions here. Dejan said, damn, I went all the way to Walgreens, came back and the market's still dead. I know it is. Super dead. Yeah, everyone's saying that Rashida's camera's up. Wait, was Rashida doing something? Let me message her. I didn't see anything. Oh, Natasha said Rashida was naked. Here, I'll message Rashida where she at. Oh, she probably knows already by now. All right, so there's still nothing going on right here, guys. I guess we'll just hang around for a bit, see if there's anything for us to follow. Yeah, I mean, there's still no direction. Well, I mean, there's a sell now. So now we do have a sell bias, but it's getting close to Fed member Bostic. He's going to speak right here at 7:50. So I guess we can wait and see how the market reacts to Fed member Bostic when he starts speaking. He's not going to speak right away, so I don't think there's going to be. Let me see if I could look him up on YouTube. Bostic live. Price is dropping super heavy right now, so it looks like a lot of people are banking on price dropping further, but I think this will spike back up. Let me see. So there's no live stream for Bostic speaking. We'll just have to see what ends up playing out from here. Let's see. Question from Johnny. Johnny's asking, how do you mark the horizontal lines for New York or New York high, London high? So Johnny, go to your indicators over here. Go to invite only scripts and turn on the sessions high low right here, K2 sessions high low. So we'll go over here real quick. Clean this up a bit. So yeah, you just go to your indicator list, go to invite only scripts, go to K2 sessions high low. You'll have this like shaded in. So just go to your settings over here. Go to inputs and then turn off background. And it should be good. That's pretty much how you would get it on there, Johnny. I'll just exit out. So that'll mark up your sessions high, and you can change them if you want. So for example, if you just want to have like London up, then you can just leave London up. If you want to have only Asia up, you can have Asia up, etc. I typically have them all up. So I mean, it's just easier to see like where not to trade. But you know, if you're just focused on like one session, you can always change it. Yeah, no problem, Johnny. Let's see, question from CJ. CJ is asking, how do you get a 10-minute chart? So there's a couple of ways to do it. One way to do it is you can just click on your chart, type in 10, and you can see it says change interval to 10 minutes. You hit enter and it goes to the 10-minute chart. Another way to do it is you can click this drop down right here. It'll say minutes right here. If you don't have it on your chart, just go down to the bottom right here, type in 10 minutes, click add, and then it'll add it to your list right here. And then you can just click on that and then it'll go to your 10-minute chart. It's easier for me to just type it in. So I just type in the number. Barack is asking, is there any application that one can input into your trading plan and profit targets? And once you set up, you have to wait for traders to ensure that you stay disciplined. Must be a software, could also have some journaling capabilities. I mean, I'm pretty sure there is, Brock, but I think you're kind of just doing too much at that point, right? If you can't control your trade psychology, no, a program is not going to help you get better. You're still going to take bad trades, right? So I'm pretty sure there's programs out there where it'll show you, like it'll check stuff off, or you can check stuff off yourself. But I mean, it's easier to just do it yourself because, you know, machine's not going to change you. The machine could automatically take the trades for you, but if you don't know how to like follow your directions or your trading plan, it's not going to make any different because you're still going to make the same mistakes. Doesn't matter if something's telling you to do this or that. Like I can tell you directly, Brock, don't do this, and you're still going to do it, right? So like, you know, just looking at your trades are like, you know, you had me like review your strategy. I think like last month, you had me look at your strategy and I told you what to do to make it better, but you didn't do any of that. So for me personally, I mean, you know, it's up to everyone's personal preference. Like everyone's trade psychology is different. I could tell you and I could help you as much as possible, but it's really up to you to make that difference. Because if you don't listen to what I'm telling you, or if you don't like make a change, like from the mistakes that you're making, you know, you're not gonna get any better. It's all discipline. But yeah, other than that, I think that's about it for right now. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to put your questions in the chat. Price is kind of just moving around right now. Fed member Bostic is supposed to be speaking right now. He was scheduled to speak at 7:50, but they don't necessarily speak right on the dot. He'll probably be speaking for about like 30 minutes to an hour. So like in the next, couple moments or so, that'll pretty much push price around. We also have news over here at 8 o'clock. So let's see. Yes, C6 said FTMO has a mentor program that has an insanely annoying alert. Alerts and indicators are only programs. Barack said, man, I don't understand what's my problem. I mean, I kind of told you what your problem was, Barack. Just go back to your messages and just read exactly, because I gave you like a detailed, I literally told you what your problem was, and you said that you understood it, but then now you don't understand it, right? So here, I'll just tell you guys Barack's problem, because maybe like someone else can help Barack. The problem with Barack is that he's good at making profits, but he's also worse at losing. So like what happens with Barack is that he'll take trades, and then once his strategy stops working, he goes to a completely different strategy. So Barack's been like, we've been friends, and he's been talking to me for like years now. And every couple weeks, he has a totally different strategy. Yeah, the strategy works for like a couple like weeks or so, but then he ends up blowing the account because he goes to a completely different strategy once it stops working. What I told Barack is that he needs to stick to one strategy. Like, so for example, here, guys, if you guys look at all my strategies here, pretty much everything is the same. Everything is based off momentum, right? Momentum scalp variation, momentum scalp failure, momentum scalp. They're all based off momentum. So what I do here is I just change different criteria. So like you're basically looking for the same thing here. You're looking for momentum signal, you're looking for trend, and you're looking for different entry points. The problem with Barack is he'll go from a momentum strategy, and then he'll go to a trend strategy, and then he'll go to a support resistance strategy, and then he'll go to supply and demand strategy. And what happens? You end up sucking at everything that you do, right? So that's the thing with like a lot of traders. Whenever you guys start to learn a strategy, I recommend just sticking to one type of strategy. Like for example, I trade momentum. So if you look at all my strategies here, all my strategies are based off momentum, right? If you look at like my 20 strategies here, everything is based off the momentum indicator. And that's why I'm able to stay consistent. With you, Barack, you go to like completely different extremes. Like you'll go from like trend trading to like support resistance, and then you never really get good at one thing. So, you just got to stay disciplined. And, unfortunately, that's a problem for a lot of people, especially if you're a new trader. If you're a new trader, you're going to learn my strategy, and you're going to say, okay, this works. And then you're going to learn someone else's strategy, and you're going to start mixing things up. And that's kind of what like screws people up, because you're doing something completely different, and you're not just focusing on mastering one thing. So yeah, exactly. Maddie said, and Stern said, you need to master one before you combine any. Yeah, I agree. Van Harwick said his strategy works with girlfriends. Yeah, no, definitely. So yeah, guys, if you guys have any other questions, feel free to put your questions in the chat. Same with Alana over here. Alana mentioned that, she's a revenge trader. Yeah, Martha said, stick to the 3 main strategies. Sean repeats them every day. It really breaks them down. So repetition will drive it home. Yeah, no, and I agree with you too, Martha. That's really what it is, guys. So I feel like it doesn't matter whether you're applying my strategy or your own strategy, but I recommend just sticking to one. There's like a couple different types of strategies here that you can like take. Like for me, my trading style is momentum trading, or yeah, I might just delete it. Momentum trend trading, right? Other styles, support and resistance, order blocks, trend trading, counter trend trading. So you guys can see that there's a lot of different ways to trade. There's different styles. There's support resistance, order blocks, trend trading, counter trend trading, etc. Or there's also like range trading too. For me personally, I stick to momentum and trend trading. So if you look at all my strategies here, they're all based off trend, right? First for everything, I identify overall trend. So that's always going to be what I'm looking for every strategy. Next, we're looking at momentum. So for every strategy that I apply, I'm looking for just momentum and trend. If you guys want to stick to something, just stick to one. Don't go from you can start to mix them up later on at some point in the future once you're actually experienced and good at it, but you want to just stick to just one. So whether it be my strategies or someone else's, what I recommend is even though the market starts to suck, right now market's sucking because there's no direction of the overall trend. My strategies don't work very well because momentum's not there. I mean, the momentum is there, but there's no trend. So for me personally, yeah, my strategies kind of suck right now because there's no direction. But when the market starts to trend again and move directional, there's going to be a lot of entries for us to take. So just, keep that in mind. Yeah, one last thing here from Frederick. Frederick said, Brock, just journal your trades and review every day. Have someone review them with you every day and be accountable. So Frederick said his wife is his accountability partner and he can't mess with his lady. Yeah, no, that's definitely on point, Frederick. So that's definitely what I recommend you do too, Brock. I recommend probably journaling your trades and then figuring out where you're losing trades. Make sure you put the strategy that you're applying so that you know where you're screwing up, because most of the time you're probably just not following your trading plan. You're probably doing a completely different strategy, and that's causing you to blow your account every time you start a new one. So, all right, guys, I think that's it for today. It's 8 o'clock. Sorry we went off tangent today, but there's just no entries for us to take. Let me go over here and just reanalyze everything. I'll try to give you guys a quick little rundown as to what I see happening in the market. Realistically, I don't see too much happening because looking over here on the shorter time frames, there's no direction. Price is currently bearish over here on the 1 minute because price is below the pivots. Trend meter is red and the pivots are angling down. The 5 minute over here, price is also below the pivots. Trend meter is also red and the pivots are angling down, but this is all from this big candle right here. So this here might just push right back up, but there's no guarantee that's going to happen just yet. Looking over here on the higher time frames, price is still bearish. So I think overall price will be bearish for the next couple of days until the end of the week tomorrow. But for the most part, there just isn't any direction. If you look here on the higher time frames, it's bearish, price below the pivots, trend meter is red, pivots are angling down. Also over here on the shorter time frames as well, currently bearish. But you want to be careful because over here on the 5, this is kind of what I see happening. Price might push up, retest the pivots, and then same with this over here on the 1. The 1 is pushing up right here and might retest the sessions or news price. So, all right, guys, I think that's it for today. If you guys have any questions, feel free to message me on Telegram, or you guys can email me, Sean@KodiKaiTrades.com. Otherwise, I will see you guys back here tomorrow for the next live session as we close out this trading week. So, all right, guys, have a great rest of your morning. If you guys don't have to trade, just sit out